Hello everyone,
I'm Hallie,
and I'm Harry.
and welcome to Experience History. We'll be discussing topics such as the wealth and poverty of the Elizabethan era and its influence on modern life.
We will be educating you peasants on what life was like for the townspeople of Newcastle in the Elizabethan era.
Get down. You may be wondering how different groups of people lived in the Elizabethan era and how it's similar or different to the social classes we know today. As the North East is fairly rural and would have primarily been filled with farmlands and moors.
That means most of you watching this wouldn't have exactly been...
Harry, no, don't say that. You can't assume someone's social economic status through a screen.
Considering that over 50% of the population living in England, and not even considering our location or rurality...
We are live, people! Get a grip and get back to script!
Anyway, the population was split into three key parts. The gentry making up 2% of the population, the middling sort making up 48%, and the labouring poor making up, as Harry said, 50%.
Many historians call the increased population of towns and cities an early form of industrialisation, which is weird because their main form of industry was looking after sheep.
The gentry and the middling sort were revelling in new technology like windows and chimneys, while the labouring poor lived in conditions akin to the Vikings.
People living rurally would live in one-room houses with an open fire in the middle, no proper windows and no proper floors. This meant that many of the buildings were dingy and dark inside. Who knew that natural light could be such a luxury?
Wealthy merchant houses like this one, Bessie Surtees' house, could afford larger glazed windows. Having lots of glass showed that the owner had money to waste on something that could be seen as frivolous. As when the houses on the labouring poor had a window, it was merely a small hole in the wall.
So windows were basically a status symbol showing off the wealth of the middling sort.
They were. Bessie Surtees' house was built on Satin Hill, Newcastle's commercial centre, where successful merchants wanted to display their success.
What about inside?
The house had separate rooms for different purposes. Unlike poorer cottages, where everything happened in one space, merchants could entertain visitors, conduct business, and live comfortably under the same roof.
However, people often imagine the Elizabethan period as grand palaces, but most lives were often governed by family, reputation, and who your parents expected you to marry.
Especially if you came from a wealthy family. Marriage wasn't just about love, it was about status, business, and alliances. Betty was expected to marry whoever her parents wanted her to.
What, an arranged marriage?
Yes, her parents wanted Betty to marry the elderly Sir Walter. He often took the young Betty out riding as part of his courtship. During one of those rides, Bessie met and fell in love with a penniless local boy, John Scott. Bessie was soon packed off to relatives to stop their romance. However, the plan failed when she returned home because on the 18th of November 1772, the lovers eloped. Bessie climbed out of her chamber window using a ladder, and she and John rode off into the night. Although Bessie and John eloped 170 years after the Elizabethan period, we can see the echoes of the strict marriage hierarchy that Elizabethan women would have endured.
That sounds a tad dramatic.
The fugitives eventually made it over the border into Scotland, where they were married. Eventually, the couple returned to Newcastle, and John Scott went on to achieve great wealth and fame as a Chancellor of England.
And they lived happily ever after?
I guess.
So, in the merchant world, marriage was a business transaction meant to consolidate power, not a romantic choice. Poor Betty. At least she got her happy ending.
Although our lives today are very different, many of the questions faced then remain relevant now. Who has power? Who controls resources? And what does wealth affect?
Also, who gets windows?
Yes, Harry. Also, who gets windows? Thank you for joining us as we've explored the wealth and poverty of Elizabethan era in Newcastle and its impact on modern society.
I'm Harry.
And I'm Hallie.
Good night, and remember...
Don't.
It's been some rough filming. Did I ruffle a feather?
Goodbye.